For a long time, I wanted a different life, more peace and freedom, more purpose and more time with family, better health and stronger relationships, a future that felt more aligned with who I wanted to become. The problem was my priorities weren't supporting the life that I said that I wanted. And eventually I realized something that was hard to ignore. You can't build a different life with the same priorities you started out with. So I think a lot of people experience this at some point. We have a vision for our future, right? We know what matters intrinsically. We know what we want. We know what we say we value. But when we look at our actual lives, there's a gap, right? A gap between our intentions and our actions, a gap between what we say matters and what we receive as our attention focuses on, right? A gap between our goals and our daily habits. This is a big disparity, right? And if we're honest, that gap, it can feel uncomfortable because it forces us to confront reality. So, one question has challenged me more than almost any other. If someone followed me around for 30 days, what would they conclude my priorities actually are? Not what I say they are, not what I wish they are. What would my life actually reveal? How I spend my time, how I spend my energy, how I spend my money, how I spend my attention. Because all those things tell the truth, sometimes more honestly than our words actually do. So the future follows your priorities. I've started realizing that the future isn't built from just intentions, right? It's built from your priorities, what you actually think are important in your life. Everybody wants better results. Everyone wants a better future. But results tend to follow what we consistently prioritize on a daily basis, not what we occasionally think about, not what we talk about, not what we hope for, what we prioritize day after day, week after week, year after year. So there's a trade off here, right? One of the hardest lessons I've learned is that every priority is going to come with a trade off. Every yes creates a no. Every commitment requires a sacrifice. In economics, you hear this as an opportunity cost, right? Every decision to focus on one thing means giving less attention to something else. And that's not necessarily bad, it's just reality. And the challenge is making sure that we're sacrificing for things that actually matter to us. Because whether we realize it or not, we're always trading something. There's always a give and take. The question is whether the exchange is worth it to you. So lately, I've become more aware to how valuable time really is because time reveals priorities in a way that words never can. You can tell me what's important to you, but eventually your schedule is going to tell me the truth because your habits is going to tell the truth. Your routines will tell the truth. Your calendar is overall going to tell the truth of what's happening in your life. And I've had seasons where that realization was uncomfortable because I could clearly see things that I had valued in theory, but wasn't prioritizing in practice, right? So as I've gotten older, this has become especially meaningful when I think about family because it's easy to say that family comes first. Most people would agree with that. But priorities aren't measured by declarations, they're measured by investments, time invested, attention invested, presence invested. Because the people we love don't experience our intentions, they experience our actions. That realization changed the way that I think about what truly matters. And I've seen this in my health too. There were seasons where I wanted better health. I wanted more energy. I wanted to feel stronger. I wanted to take better care of myself. But wanting those things wasn't enough. Eventually, I had to ask, do my priorities reflect these goals that are in my mind? Because the body responds to what we repeatedly do on a daily basis, not what we occasionally desire. And that same principle applies to almost every area of life. Spiritually, this lesson has changed for me as well, because it's easy to say we value faith. It's easy to say that we want wisdom. It's easy to say that we want a deeper relationship with God and your creator, but priorities reveal what we actually pursue. Growth doesn't happen because we admire something. Growth happens because we invest in it, because we make room for it, because we exchange some of our coins, our energy for our life for that thing, right? Because we choose it repeatedly, even when life gets busy. So I'm going to tell you the cost of keeping old priorities in your life. I think one of the reasons that people stay stuck is because they want a new destination without changing the path that they're walking. They want different outcomes. They want different priorities, right? But they can't get those different outcomes without different priorities, different results, without different habits, a different future, without a different present. But eventually reality catches up, right? Because the future is largely built from what we repeatedly prioritize today. What you prioritize today is going to become your life and your reality here in the future. I've realized that every life is being shaped by priorities, consciously or unconsciously. You can know this, or you could just keep the back of your mind just going to know this automatically. It's just going to assume whatever you feed it, right? Intentionally or unintentionally. Every day we're voting for a future. Every day we're reinforcing what matters. Every day we're becoming someone. That question isn't whether priorities are shaping our lives. The question is whether we're choosing those priorities deliberately. So today, I believe that alignment matters more than intention. I believe that priorities reveal values. I believe that attention is one of the most valuable resources we have. And I believe the life that we want is often found on the other side of reordered priorities. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because our actions finally start moving in the direction as our goals. So looking back, I don't think my life started changing when my goals changed. I think my life started changing when my priorities changed, when my time changed, when my habits changed, when my attention changed, because goals point towards a destination, but priorities determine whether you ever get there. And that's why I've come to believe something very, very simple. You can't build a different life with the same priorities. If you're currently reevaluating what truly deserves your time and attention, comment priorities down below, because the future that you're building will always, always follow what matters most today. And until next time, man, I appreciate you. Peace.